What's up, YouTube? Okay, so now we're going to talk about Proverbs 23 in the book The Hard Way by Brad Lee. So here we go. Proverbs 23. When sitting down to eat with a ruler, take a moment to think about who you are with and what you are doing. You ever sit with your boss and you're eating? You don't want to be eating with your mouth open. You want to have good manners. You want to know the level of authority. If you're sitting with someone they're in authority over you, you want to make sure what you watch your actions, what you do. There's an unwritten rule that you be respectful, that you don't act like a pig, you don't be rude, you don't throw food across the table, you don't do these types of things. I'm going to give you a different version. Proverbs 23 verse 1. When sitting in front of a king and dining, be aware he is judging you to see what kind of man you are. Are you given into desires? So remember that they're looking at you just while you're looking at them. You may not think they are, but they are. Always remember that. Proverbs 23 verse 7. Let me go to verse 6 and then go to verse 7, because verse 7 talks about verse 6. Do not sit down and eat the bread of a tight-fisted fellow, or desire any of his delicacies, for deep down he's keeping track of the cost. He may say, eat up and drink your fill, but he does not mean a word of it. So if you know someone who's a cheapskate, and you know they're a cheapskate, and they invite you to dinner, usually in ancient Israel, if they invited you to dinner, that means that they're going to pay for you. That means that they're going to eat their food. They'll say eat and drink up, but they don't mean it. And I'll tell you, don't invite someone. If that's the way you feel, just don't even invite them. I mean, don't feel obligated. I used to be guilty of that. I used to feel obligated to have to invite somebody for something, and that's just not something I had to do. Why? These people didn't matter. They didn't matter to me. They don't matter. Just if you, like, in your heart you feel like, okay, I love this person, I want to bless this person, then you do it from your heart. Do it with an intention from your heart, but don't do it like you feel obligated. Because if you do like you feel, this is what's going to happen. If you invite someone to your house, or you invite someone out to a restaurant, you're going to pay for them, and you, in your heart, you're thinking, oh man, I don't even like this person. I invited him because my wife wanted me, or someone else wanted me, and you're obligated into it. This is how you're going to think. You're going to be like, yeah, drink up. But in your heart, you're going to be thinking, I don't want this ass. I don't want him doing that. And on the flip side, on the other side of that coin, let's say someone invites you to dinner, and you know that there's no relationship, they don't mean anything, they don't care about you. You know that they don't care about you, and that's very obvious. Just tell them, no, I'm not going. I refuse. You go where you're celebrated, not tolerated. I've always lived that life that, look, I am not going to go where someone doesn't celebrate my presence. I will go. I will leave. I will disappear from that environment. I don't care who they are. That includes my family members. I will disappear from their lives if they think that I'm going to sit here and be around and be tolerated. I'm not doing that. Anyway, so be careful. Be careful who you share your presence with, because that's important. Do not sit with someone who's constantly counting the cost of what you're eating. Don't do it. Just don't do it. Save yourself the trouble. All right? Both of you. It saves them and him and yourself. You save them from being in that aggravated situation, and yourself. Now, verse 9. We're talking about Proverbs 23, verse 9. Don't waste your wisdom on a fool, for he doesn't care for anything you have to say. Again, we're talking about coming to dinner, and the guy is thinking about the cost of what it costs. Don't do it. Okay, all right, so I'm going to talk to you about Proverbs 23. rebuke a wise man, and he will love you for it. Now we're going to switch over. We're going to go to Proverbs 25, verse 24. Proverbs 24, verse 34. 24, verse 34. It says 33 and 34. A little sleep, a little rest, few more minutes of nap, and soon poverty will be on top of you like a robber. It will strike you down like a well-armed warrior. You know, poor people, when they get their money, they spend it immediately. Gone. Boom. They never use that money to generate wealth. They never save that money. Okay, let me go ahead and save it for something. Let me save it for when a rainy day comes where I need that money and I can use that money. No, they don't do. They spend it immediately. And they like to sleep in. They like to party, and then they sleep in. They're sleeping in, right? Where everybody else is working, they're sleeping in. And they're losing that money. Oh, now all of a sudden, where'd the money go? It's gone. Money's gone way faster than you spend it. Okay? So just think about that. Let's go to Proverbs 25, verse 2. And again, this is not preaching. I'm just sharing you some notes that I decided to read the whole book of Proverbs. I did 1 month of just reading the book of Proverbs. And I just wanted to share these notes. So this is what it is. Proverbs 25, verse 2. It says, God's glory is shown when he conceals things. A king's glory is shown when his ability to explore the facts of the matter. Another version, it says, it is God's glory to conceal a thing, but the honor of kings to search out a matter. So God knows everything. He conceals things. But once it's revealed through kings like King Solomon and all these ancient kings, and you go to pharaohs. I've been to Egypt, and you see the pharaohs. They were able to discover all these wisdom and all these wonderful things, and to search out a matter. Okay? Proverbs 25, verse 6 and 7. Do not claim to be important in the presence of a king, or vie in the position within the company of great men. Proverbs 25, verse 6, another version says, do not sit at the head of the table. Better to sit down quietly and wait for an invitation. Be humble. Be humble. Be grateful to be there. Be grateful to be among great men. But don't try to sit. Don't try to impress them. Just be yourself. That's all you can be. That's the best person you can be. Make sure you're congruent within yourself. There used a time to where I used to try to impress people. And those people didn't care about me. They didn't care. Now I'm not doing that anymore. I'm just being me. And you should too. That's the only if they care, they will come out. And I have learned to stay away more and more from people that don't celebrate my presence. I go where I'm celebrated, not where I'm tolerated. That's one thing that I will not waste my life with people that don't appreciate my presence. Neither should you. Neither should you. Proverbs 25, verse 12. To an attentive ear, construction criticism from a truly wise person is like an earring in the jewelry made of fine gold. The way I wrote it is, listen to valid criticism. It will help you grow rich and prosper. Listen to valid criticism. It will help you grow rich and prosper. So if someone's criticizing you, number one, look at their finances. You don't want to take diet advice from someone who's 400 pounds. Okay? So make sure that when you're listening to someone who's speaking, giving an opinion, is there validity in that opinion? Number one, is this person someone I respect? And number two, does this opinion line up with your core beliefs? You got to know what your core beliefs are. 25. Now let's move on. Proverbs 25, verse 17. Don't visit your neighbor too often, or he will become tired of you and grow to hate you. Make sure that you're not going around too much. Don't visit someone. Don't let someone become too familiar with your presence. Make sure you remove your presence. Let them miss you. Let them miss you so when you come. Machiavelli talks about that. Proverbs 25, verse 21. If your enemy is hungry, give him something to eat. If he is thirsty, give him something to drink. Now, let me tell you, I had a situation, and I was here in Colombia, where they shine shoes here. It's just inexpensive to get your shoes shined. And I had a guy who was shining my shoes, and while he's shining my shoes, he goes and he says, "Oh, I can make these boots look really nice for you." And he said, "I can put a little paint on them." And I was like, "Okay." I said, and he offered to do it. He offered to do it. Mind you, he didn't tell me the price. We're talking about, if your enemy is hungry, feed him. And if he is thirsty, give him something to drink. Watch this story. He goes and he shines the shoes. He shines one of the shoes. Now, he puts paint on one of the shoes. All right. These are leather shoes, leather boots, nice ones. They're like leather boots, and then on the bottom they have like tennis pads, so they're soft to walk on. He goes and he does it, and he says, "Oh, that's going to be like triple the price." I said, "What?" I said, "Why didn't you say that before?" And he's like, "Oh no." He goes, "Well, you don't have to do it." And I was pissed. And like the police, like I could look over on the left shoulder, and there's the tourist police, like right there. Now this guy is shining shoes. He doesn't make a lot of money, so I'm like, man. But he lied to me. He straight up lied to me. I said, "Look," I said, "if there's an upcharge, you need to explain to me before you do that there's an upcharge." I was pissed, and then I thought about this verse. I said, "You know what?" I said, "Let me just keep my mouth shut. Let me just pay for his price that he's asking, and I'll never do business with him again, because he's dishonest and he lied. He should have told me that this is going to be an upcharge." It's almost like going in a restaurant and you ask for like butter. I went to a place and they asked for, and they charge you for it was like a waffle place, and they charged me. I think I got a bill at the end of it. They said, "Oh, you got to pay for the butter." I'm like, "What? Butter? Should be included. It's in pancakes and it's in the waffles." But they charged me for it. They were dishonest. So anyway, back to my story about the shoe shine guy who cheated me. So I said, "Okay." I said, "That's fine." I said, he said he didn't tell me, but then at the same time, I didn't ask, which I don't think I should have to ask, since he offered it to me and I accepted. You see, it wasn't something that I asked about for him to do. He offered it to me. All I did was say yes and accept his offer. And then he did that upcharge. He cheated me. So I said, so I paid him and left, and that was it. But man, I could have got this guy in so much trouble. I could have called the police right then and there. I said, "Hey, this guy cheated me," and I would not have had to pay them. They would have said, "No, you're right," and they would have agreed with me, because when you go to other countries, poor people, they don't have rights, and it's even wherever you go in the world, like, the rich people are going to rule over the poor. That's just the way it is. I didn't make the rule. I'm just observing. I'm just an observer. I can see it. I've traveled all over. I was just in Egypt, and I could have easily just not paid them. But that's what it is. You let your enemy. Sometimes you let your enemy win, because it's God's principle guiding in you. Anyway, so my shoes look really good. He did do a good job on that. I will say that. And it cost, at the end of the day, it cost me like $5. But it wasn't the money. You understand? It's not the money. It's the principle. The principle is he lied to me. And I don't like being taken advantage of. I don't like that shit. Anyway, all right, let's transition into the book, The Hard Way, by Bradley. Here's some of the notes that I learned. Take responsibility and own everything that you do. If you made a mistake, own it. You did it. That's your issue. One thing he talked about in this book, he talks about relationships. Relationships are everything. You need to be reliable and responsible. Is someone, when they talk about you, is this person reliable and responsible? Do they mean what they say? Are you a man of your word? Are you a man of honor? That's something that I really strive for. I really am careful about what I say. I'm careful about the words that I say. Taking responsibility for your life and creating momentum. I own everything that I spend a lot of money every month, but I take responsibility for it because I know I own what I'm doing. I'm creating something. Chapter 13 in the book The Hard Way. Choose to be successful. Make decisions. Step out in faith. You can't always see the end of the road, but as an entrepreneur, when you decide to open up that new business, you're stepping out in faith. It's okay to embrace discomfort. Most people are afraid. You can turn into it. There's a story about cows and buffalo. And cows, a lot of them die because when they hear the storms coming, they run away from the storms. They try to get away from it. But buffalo, they run into the storm. They run into if you run into discomfort and you face your fear, you can get through it a lot better and a lot faster. So buffalo, when they run into the storm, they're in the storm less time because the storm is going over them. You understand? Success comes from taking chances. Remember, success is a choice. So check out that book, The Hard Way by Brad Lee. Next time I'm going to talk about Proverbs 26.